Growing up, I was a happy young girl. I'd rarely be seen crying, I never struggled to make friends, and I relied on my half-brother, Charlie, to lift me up when things got rough. Me and Charlie were inseparable. He wasn't just my brother, he was my idol. Wherever he went, I followed. Phrases he said, I picked up. When I was 5 years old, Charlie sexually abused me. Under the guise of teaching me to clean myself, he licked my genitals and in turn forced me to lick his. He told me not to tell anyone, and for 4 days I listened. On the Thursday after, me and my parents were in the city when they heard their young girl say it was funny when I licked Charlie's bum and white stuff came out. How was she supposed to know that this was actually his penis and wasn't a funny game? My parents rushed me home and put me in the bath, not knowing where to go next. They didn't know whether to call his mother and confront him or call the police. He didn't live with us and my parents couldn't face him after what he had done, so we chose the latter. It was both a blessing and a curse. Through the police, we found out that this was not his first incident. In November of 2006, when Charlie was just 7 years old, a friend's mother walked into her child's room only to find Charlie teaching 2 children how to perform fellatio. One of them was the same age, 7 years old, the other was a 3-year-old baby. What I can understand from the paperwork I have, the mother chose not to press charges. The investigation was opened November 14th and closed 2 weeks later. Instead, Charlie got help for his sexual urges and was given lessons about sex education. From this point, he knew that this behaviour was wrong, but it didn't stop him. My father had no idea about this previous incident. He didn't know that his own son had sexually abused 2 children in 2006. Instead, 5 years later, he found out through a phone call with the police. We wrote to Norfolk County Council about this, demanding answers. Why did my father not know about this previous incident? Why was he never told even when Charlie was living with us? It turns out my dad did not, and still to this day does not, have parental responsibility over Charlie. Up until the mid-2000s, parental responsibility was given automatically and solely to the mother, and fathers would have to fight this in court. Authorities knew that I was in danger. My friends that stayed over were in danger, but they didn't tell us about his past crimes. My parents wrote back demanding an apology to Sydney Jones, the now 6-year-old girl with an immeasurable amount of trauma. Paul Coroner and Chris Heisman, both part of Norfolk County Council at the time, sent a document back to us. My parents kept this document so that when I asked about what happened, they can show it to me. We never got any paperwork from the police, but we kept anything we received. What I'm about to read to you, and I have it in my bag, is a few paragraphs of Section 7 of the Complaint Investigation Report entitled Recommendations. Mr. and Mrs. Jones state that their desired outcomes are that the matter is investigated, an apology is provided to Sydney, and somebody is held to account. Further to the investigation that I have conducted, on behalf of Norfolk Children's Services, I would reiterate our apology to Mr. and Mrs. Jones for our failure in 2006 to inform him, my dad, of the recent incident, of the incident relating to his son. I do not see it as appropriate for an apology to be directly provided to Sydney, as I do not believe that we can be sure that any action could have been reasonably taken by Mr. and Mrs. Jones in the knowledge of the incident of 2006 would have prevented the incident of 2011. However, I would fully acknowledge on behalf of Norfolk Children's Services that it would have been beneficial to the family's well-being as a whole, including both Sydney and Charlie, for the information to have been shared with Mr. Jones, and for this reason, I would extend my apology. Let me, a 19-year-old girl, tell you what my parents could have done to keep me safe. They could have got Charlie further help for his sexual urges and, if need be, trauma, as we all know full well that a child who goes on to abuse other children is probably a victim themselves. They would not have allowed me and Charlie to be alone, and my friends would not have been allowed to be near him. We could have made sure that his home conditions, living with his mother, were stable. They could have educated him further, especially as he approached puberty, about sex education. My parents had known both me and Charlie could have got the support and help we needed to thrive as a family. Instead, Norfolk County Council allowed a young girl to have her innocence taken away from her, and her family was almost destroyed. From this point, I would go closer to me and Charlie and ask where he went, even asking if he had died. What do you tell a now 6-year-old girl? How do you explain to her that what her brother did, what her best friend did, was wrong and illegal? We dropped our case against my brother for a multitude of reasons, but ultimately, it was too hard on my family. It was eating us up, and we just wanted to improve our well-being and mental health. We still wanted to be a family, and taking my dad's son's support was killing us all. In February of 2024, at 18 years old, I reopened the case. I thought I was strong enough to handle it this time. I had read through all the paperwork and went through the proceedings. Between December of last year and August of this year, my historic sexual abuse case was proposed to 4 CPS lawyers, who all said different things. Ultimately, my case was returned, not dropped, but returned, because it lacked public interest, and this was confirmed when my officer, Oliver, came round. A child's experience has a lack of public interest, says CPS. Instead, we would have had to begin the investigation from the beginning, prolonging my already depleting mental health. I had a choice to make. I continue with the case, knowing that it will probably be returned again, and knowing that the only thing my brother faces is temporary rehabilitation. Or I drop the investigation, and I use my remaining strength to speak out, to name and shame him, to show his photo. In September of this year, I officially dropped the case. I haven't seen my half-brother since that day, but now I can give him a message. Charlie Jones, in 2 weeks I'll be 20 years old. In December, you turn 27. In 2026, it'll be 15 years since you took my happiness away, and I hope you feel guilt. I hope you think about what you did every day. I hope that anytime you see a happy girl, you see my face and you regret. I hope that what you did eats you away for the rest of your miserable life, like what it has done for me. To Norfolk County Council, only 2 miles away from where I stand now. I hope you know that you actively allowed and continue to allow hundreds of girls to be abused in your county. My officer told me that the phrase normal for Norfolk is true, and it's disgusting. You, Paul Coroner, Chris Eastman, Norfolk County Council and Children's Services around the country must be held to account. For almost 15 years I've had to survive, not live, with the trauma you have given me. Every scar on my body, every attempt I made to stop the pain, every time I stuck my fingers down my throat, every time I refused to eat because it dimmed the flashbacks, it is your fault. To CPS, your core mission is to deliver justice through independent and fair prosecutions. Returning a survivor's case because of lack of public interest is not justice. We are not going to court as adults, but as children. We wonder why people refuse to report crimes in their areas. We wonder why women, children and vulnerable men remain in awful situations, despite others telling them to call authorities. My story is the explanation, and there are thousands more like it. As a collective, we need to start holding these people to account, every single one of them, until justice is served. Any survivor, no matter your age, no matter what happened, I encourage you to speak out. If you are never given reasonable justice, make it.
Well done, Sid.